Hello, my name is Dan Bromberg. I'm the Director of Academic Programs for the Carsey School of Public Policy. And today I'm going to talk about our 3 master's degrees. So thank you all for joining us. I'm really looking forward to sharing some of this information with you and answering any of your questions. If you notice, at the bottom of your screen, typically there is a Q&A feature. So you're welcome to post some questions into that question and answer feature, and we will get to it towards the end of the presentation. We'll be sure to hold some time for questions. I'm joined today by my colleague, Robin Husledge, who will hop on as soon as the presentation is complete. So once again, welcome. My name is Dan, and I'd be happy to share with you some information about our programs. So first, why the Carsey School? You have a lot of choices out there in the graduate world. The nice part about the Carsey School is that we not only have our academic programs, but we also offer a number of different research opportunities and outreach opportunities. So we have research centers in community development finance, in work that focuses on vulnerable families. We have an outreach part of the Carsey School called New Hampshire Listens, and they engage in civic dialogues. And you could only imagine what that has looked like, both with the election and with some of the racial injustice that's going on across the country, along with the COVID pandemic. So work in the community has really been on the rise, and the work that we're doing at the Carsey School always allows for students to engage. So whether that be through an experiential learning project in your classes, or just interacting with some of our faculty and staff that are in those centers, there really is a great opportunity for students at the Carsey School. So we offer 4 different academic programs. We have a Master's in Community Development, a Master of Public Administration, a Master in Public Policy, and then we have a dual degree, which is the Master's in Public Policy, along with a Juris Doctorate dual degree. And that's combined with the law school here at UNH. That allows you to complete that law degree within 4 years while getting your master's in public policy. So a pretty cool option for those of you interested in both law and public policy. So let me start here with the Master in Community Development. The nice part about the Master in Community Development is that it really does provide you an integrative set of skills, all focused on ground up community development. So I like to think of this as our grassroots program, right? It starts with the project level information, working in communities across sectors, both public, private, nonprofit, and with community organizations to really understand what communities need and build those projects from the ground up. You gain skills in management and finance and public policy and economic development. And our students have focused on projects both locally, regionally, nationally, and we have many of students that have focused on international issues and come to us from all over the world. This is a 30-credit program, and as of now, the program is being offered online. That was both in response to the global pandemic, but also because we're seeing these courses transition to online and be extremely effective in reaching all of our audiences. There are 9 core courses, and there are 3 elective courses. The unique aspect of this program is that it has a 1-year 4-course sequence, which is your capstone project. So that capstone project, which often, and especially in our other programs, is often held into your last semester. In this program, you actually start your capstone project the first day you come to your class. And our instructors help you design what that capstone project might look like. And then you work through a series of courses as far as design, implementation, management, and evaluation, which all give you the experience, hands-on experience of developing a project, learning from a community, and eventually leading to the evaluation of that project. So that really is an experience that our students love, and you don't see too many programs doing that. This program can be completed full-time in 14 months, and it could stretch all the way to 24 months, depending on your needs and how many courses you're taking at a time. Our Master in Public Administration is also about program and project implementation, but I like to think about this program more at the organizational level. So it's not so much that project from the ground up, but it's how organizations themselves implement policy. An MPA is similar to the degree that many of you are familiar with, probably an MBA or a Master's of Business Administration, but it is how do you run mission-driven organizations? So organizations that are in heightened political environments and their bottom line is a mission that they need to achieve, as opposed to a set amount of dollars that they're trying to achieve. So once again, you gain a lot of information about management in this program, but it's managing those public programs and implementing public policy. So it's not the development of the public policy per se, but it is that implementation of that public policy. We build leadership skills, we build management skills, we explore local networks, and we make connections with both our faculty and our students who are typically working across the sector, both in New England and nationally. The Masters of Public Administration will be taught fully online in the coming months. So that's both in the spring semester, and we're anticipating that for the fall semester as well. Typically, students complete this in 16 to 21 months. And as you notice the schedule, our courses are set up in 8-week blocks. So while a traditional semester might be a 15 or a 16-week block, what we've done here is we break the semester up into 2, and we're able to fit 2 courses in the time period that we would fit 1 in. So if someone can only commit to 1 night a week or 1 class a semester, you're actually able to get 2 in during that same time period without increasing your workload at all. There are 4 required courses for this program, and then there are 3 advanced courses. And then students have the opportunity to add additional electives. And there are a number of different opportunities for the electives throughout both the Carsey School and the University of New Hampshire. So our Master's in Public Policy is actually the start of that policy process, whereas the Public Administration degree allows you to implement the public policy. A Master's in Public Policy allows you to learn to develop that public policy, along with developing the skills for analyzing, communicating, and strategically advocating for public policy. And this is the nice aspect of all 3 of our programs. You're able to look at all 3 of our programs, select the core courses that you're most interested in. So maybe it is in the development of public policy, but then you're also able to use your electives to take some of the courses in our other programs. The Master in Public Policy is a 40-credit program. It has 2 tracks, either a policy analysis track or a strategy and communication track. There are 5 core courses, and there are a series of experiential learning opportunities. One of the most popular and one of our favorites is our January term colloquium. In this, we spend a week in Washington, D.C., and during that week, students meet with leaders across the policy spectrum, from White House meetings to Pentagon meetings, to meeting with advocates, to meeting with folks in government affairs, whether it be at Google or a tax policy expert. And students spend long days in these meetings and get to learn about the various aspects of the policy ecosystem in Washington, D.C. So that's a 3-week J-term course where we spend 1 full week in Washington, D.C. You also have an internship and a capstone opportunity, both which lend hands-on experience for all of our students. Typically, students take 12 to 24 months to finish this degree. If you're an accelerated student, meaning that you started during your undergraduate time here at UNH, then you could finish it within 12 months. Typically, though, our students finish in about 16 months. So they start in September. So let's assume they started in September of 2020. They would typically graduate in December of 2021. So it's full 3 semesters while fitting in an internship possibly over the summer. Some of our students stay for the full 2 years, but not all of our students. What we're adding to our master's program is the idea of combining your degree with a graduate certificate. So what we've done is we've helped map out 6 public service graduate certificates that really relate to the skills that you might need in the field of public service. So what you're able to do with a graduate certificate is take those required courses for the graduate certificate in those elective slots for your master's degree. So ultimately, you're graduating with 2 credentials. So for example, you might graduate with your master's in public policy and then also get a data science graduate certificate. This will take you no more time than it currently takes you, and it will cost you no more money to end up with both of those credentials. We're using the elective slots in your master's program to take advantage of all that UNH offers and all the expertise and skill sets that are here on campus. So once again, you could do that in public health, health data science, geospatial, assessment and evaluation and education, child welfare, right? Any of these other topical areas that you might be interested in, this allows you to gain those expertise and the credential on your resume to get you where you want to go with your career. So where do our graduates end up? The truth is our graduates end up all over the place, both in Washington, D.C., in Concord, on the seacoast in New Hampshire, and all over the world, frankly. So here's an example of some of our graduates, and please check out some of our capstone projects and some of our alumni pages where you can get a sense of where everyone is. We're always happy to connect you to our alumni so you could get a sense of their experience in the program. So what does it take for admissions? We're going to need transcripts. We typically look at a personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation, a resume, and then for our Masters of Public Policy program, we do require a GRE, and that's for students that are not currently at the University of New Hampshire. And we know right now that might be challenging, but we would ask you to attempt to take that test or at least be in touch with us if you're having some issues taking that test. So once again, a personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation, a resume and test scores, and then the application fee. I will say that personal statement goes a long way with the admissions committee. They're really able to assess both your desire to study public policy or public administration or community development, and they're also able to assess your writing ability, right? This gives them good insight into how well you write and how well you'll be able to do within our classes. Tuition and funding. So there's both in-state and out-of-state tuition. You're seeing a difference between the accelerated programs. So that's this number here, the $21,200, and the typical degree. But let me be clear, the Carsey School does offer scholarships, and we also offer fellowships. So typically, our tuition amounts do decrease based on these funding opportunities. And we also have a series of partnerships with all of these different organizations that are other ways to help decrease the amount of your tuition costs. So if that tuition number is something that you think you're not able to attain, then what I would say is reach out to us, submit a scholarship application, and let us try to help you so we can make our degrees accessible for all of you. The goal here is not for you to be roadblocked by the tuition cost. The goal is for you to get the degree that you need to further your career. So with that, what I would say is please visit us at the Carsey School. You could see our website right here and all of our contact information over here. Any one of us, either myself, Dan Bromberg, Sanjeev Sharma, or Robin Husledge would be happy to chat with you. And we're more than happy to take your questions as this presentation comes to an end. So let me introduce Robin Husledge, who's joining us now.
We have a few questions here. One is, are the meetings for the MPP DC colloquium tailored to student interests?
It's a great question. The meetings for the MPP DC colloquium really do cut across, I would say, almost all of our students' interests. We try to get meetings with experts across the board. So we'll be meeting with experts in environmental policy. We'll be meeting with experts in government affairs. We'll be meeting with experts in economic policy, foreign policy. So we really do try to get meetings that will cater to all of our students. And then more than just a policy interest, what we try to do is schedule meetings across the policy spectrum. So you're not simply meeting with, an advocate for a policy. You're meeting with a legislator that might design that policy, or you're meeting with, someone who serves in the Navy at a very high level advising on policy. So we really want to give you exposure to the different career paths that are out there and how all of these different policy professionals reach their career paths.
Thanks, Dan. Another question is, do you anticipate the MPP program to be on campus?
We do, yeah. So what I'll say is next semester right now, we are scheduled to have, at minimum 2 of our classes on campus, or at least partially on campus. And most likely we'll have our 3rd on campus as well. Obviously, as the pandemic continues and health concerns are considered, that may shift, but there's no intention to shift the MPP degree to an online degree. We have the full intent to bring it back in person as soon as we're physically able to, based on the conditions.
Okay. Another question is, how competitive is funding?
Funding is competitive. That said, there's a range of different funding amounts that we're able to contribute. The earlier students get in their funding requests, the more likely we are able to accommodate. Obviously there's a certain amount of funds available. We try to accommodate all of our students. We're not always able to meet them with what they need, but we do our best to accommodate them. And as more students apply, obviously the competition for that funding increases, but we do try to accommodate all of our students. So I would encourage students to apply and let us make that call when those come to us.
Okay, another question came in. Does an MCD allow you to go into fields surrounding food security and sustainability?
Yes, no question. There are various courses that would actually deal directly with that, both courses around sustainability and courses around food security, both in the developing world, primarily in the developing world. So no question, it would be a focus that a student can look into.
Great. Another question. I'm interested in the MPA program and the public health grad certificate. How do these programs mesh so I don't have to take additional courses or have it take longer than if I just pursued the MPA program?
Yeah, great question. So we actually have 2 students doing that right now. And I'm happy to connect with you about that opportunity. So the way this works is what we're doing is we're just allowing you to take courses through your electives in the graduate certificate. So you would have to take those elective courses regardless. By taking them in public health and using that public health certificate, you're able to fulfill your electives in the Master's of Public Administration while pursuing that graduate certificate. So once again, it will not take you any more time or cost you any additional money.
Great. Another question is, can you share more about the MPP fellowships, like how they work, what types they are?
Sure. The MPP fellowships, they actually vary every year, which is one of the cool parts about the fellowships. So there are Carsey faculty fellows across the university. And many of these Carsey faculty fellows work in various research centers across the university. So what we do is actually about now, we send out requests to those faculty fellows and we say to them, do you want a student fellow to work with you? And depending on who responds to that, we're able to list a number of different types of fellowships in research policy areas. So for example, this year we had a law and justice fellowship. We had a community development fellowship. We had a New Hampshire Listens fellowship. We've had health policy fellowships. We've had fellowships related to disability policy. So those are going to be changing on an annual basis. And what that looks like for a student is you work 15 hours a week during the semester, so while class is in session, and you get a stipend for the semester of $4,600. So in total, you'd be working 2 semesters, and you'd get a stipend of $9,200 for the full academic year.
Great, thank you. Another question was, will the certificate in community development finance be added as a possible add-on certificate program in conjunction with the MPA program?
So the current certificate in community development finance is not a credit-bearing certificate. And Robin, correct me if you know something that I don't know, but as of now, that is not a credit-bearing certificate. So that could not be used for electives. However, there has been a good amount of conversation around creating a credit-bearing certificate in community development finance. And should that happen, then it would be. But the current certificate that's being offered is not a graduate certificate. These need to be graduate credit-bearing certificates.
Great, thanks. Another question is, can you give some examples of MPP internships, and what's the difference between an internship and a capstone project in the MPP program?
Sure. Internships, I'll first start with the difference between the two. Internships are opportunities for students to gain mentorship and explore what it is like working in a policy-focused organization. So there's expectations that there's time on the ground working at that organization, and your role at that organization may shift depending on the needs of the organization and who you're working with and the various projects that are going on. So that internship can really happen at any organization, both across the region, nationally, from working, in one of the members of the delegation, for example. We've had some of our students work, to working at an advocacy organization, out of Concord or out of Washington, D.C. And that really does vary. Whereas the capstone project is just that. It is a defined project. This is typically for the MPP program, but for the MPA as well. These are projects that have very clear scopes. They don't necessarily require that you are on the ground at an organization. To some degree, you're coming in almost as a consultant if it's an organization-based capstone. In the policy program, what we would do is we'd pair you with a policy expert in the field, and that policy expert would help guide your research. So when you finish your capstone project, you have a policy-ready document that you could then share with either future employers, if you were to go on to get a doctoral degree, possibly with other graduate programs. But the goal is to make this a policy-ready document that you have in hand when you graduate.
Great, thanks. Another question is, for the programs that are geared towards working professionals like me, how easy is it to juggle work, family, and pursuing a graduate education?
It's a great question. I probably shouldn't tell you how easy it is. I think these are challenging things to do, but what I would say is that you're in good company. 95 to 99% of our students in both the MPA degree and the MCD degree, so the Master's of Community Development and the Master's of Public Administration, are striking that balance, right? They're working full time and they're going to school part time. The MPP is slightly different in that I would say it's more split. About 50% of our students are probably striking that balance. Our faculty are well aware that our students are trying to strike this balance, and the schedules that we have developed allow for you to pace yourselves to strike that balance. So what you end up doing is you kind of hit your stride after that first semester, and you get a sense of, okay, what can I balance here? Can I take one course? Can I take two courses? Typically, they will, at least in the MPA and the MCD, they won't be meeting during the day. They'll be meeting in the evening if there are class times. So we try to work with our students to make sure that they could strike that balance. And it's definitely possible.
Great. That's all the questions I see right now. Let me just check. Yeah, I think that's all. There was, I think, overlapping questions to do with the community development certificate. So I think you already answered that question, that right now it's not a graduate certificate.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Robin and I are here, and we have our colleague Sanjeev Sharma, who helps us in admissions as well. The three of us are all here. We're happy to answer any of your questions, follow-up questions. Please feel free to email us. You could also book meetings with us. We're more than happy to help you figure out this process. So don't be shy. We're here to help you. And we look forward to meeting all of you and speaking with you in person. Take care.